What's up, guys? It's your boy Luis Torres, and today have you noticed what's different today? Have you noticed? So, I got a LINE6 relay G50 wireless, and let me explain some of these little things. So, let me turn this off. Boop. Disconnect that. Put this on standby. So here's the one thing, and I'm talking about 1990, 1991, I ended up getting a Nady wireless system, which was VHF frequency, if I remember. This thing is 1,000 times better because it's digital, and the housing is actually metal. Sometimes you get things like this and they're just made of shit plastic. Not this guy, metal, and you can feel it. So the G50 actually is 12 channels, but there are 2 frequencies, so you can toggle between 12 in frequency 1 and 12 in frequency 4. So if you have a buddy that's in the same band, whether it's a bassist or a guitarist or a drummer, can't leave that guy, alone for anything. Then, you actually have 24 different channels that you can jump across. So making this infinitely better than the old one that I had. And I don't want to break it. So God forbid, and some of the cheaper LINE6 wireless systems, if anything happens to the cable, you legit have to buy a brand spanking new one of, the actual transmitter. You have to buy the whole thing. As opposed to, with this one, it's a separate cable. And you just, is it focusing? Nah, so this is the female, and then the male is in there. You can see that. It's 3, 4, yeah. And then this thing, you just find where it goes, and you push it in, and it locks. There's an on-off switch. The battery, I put a brand new battery in there. They say they last about 8 hours with each new set of batteries that you put in there. Value, I'm on channel 5 right now. I have 8 hours and 20 minutes of battery life on this 2.4 gigahertz digital wireless system. So you can take this, put it on your strap. My straps are kind of expensive. I have a bunch of them, but I don't feel like wearing down the leather, so I put it in my pocket. So, there was a local guy that was selling it, and he's in 1 or 2 different bands, and apparently he bought this a few years ago, used it a few times, didn't really like the sound that was coming out of it. I don't know what he did differently. So he legit started out selling it at like $225 was when I first saw it, and then he lowered it down to $200, then lowered it again. I ended up paying $100 for it. Came in the box. I mean, the thing was in brand new mint condition, but he said that there was an issue with how the sound was, and once I plugged it in, I kind of understood what he was talking about. So you can actually, so here you are playing, and there's a cable, right? So you plug right into your amp, and the longer the cable, the less it's like a coaxial cable, like if you know how coaxial cables work. After a certain amount of feet, you need a repeater, so that way it actually grabs the signal and sends it straight out again. So it's a stronger signal going from one end to the next. just so it receives and sends out packet informations. So with our guitar cables, unfortunately, you don't get that. You don't get a repeater. You don't get a 30-foot cable and then decide I'm going to put a repeater and put another 30-foot cable attached to that. We're stuck with whatever length that we have. So with the G50, you can designate how you want the sound to come across, whether it's a 10-foot length cable, a 30-foot, a 50-foot, a 100-foot. I don't know if maybe he had it on the longest, but what I ended up doing, and this has more to do with the frequency, and I did a ton of research because I understood once I started playing with it, I was like, all right, that's probably what he's talking about. Like, I got the issue that he had. But when you are transferring your sound from one frequency to another, even though you're on 2.4, you're losing on the higher end versus on the lower end. So I ended up using channel 3 initially, and then use the toggle to 10 feet, right? Is that the shortest? 5 feet is the shortest. So it's 5, 10, 15. So what I'm using now is literally, I'm on channel 5 because I kind of felt like that was the clearest channel, along with 15, setting it to 15 feet. And the issue that I had before, which is probably the same issue he had, it stopped happening. So, which was kind of like, almost, do I dare say, a bit of a cutoff? Almost as if you have a noise gate set too high to some degree. So that kind of opened it up a bit, and then it's fine. So for $100, I got a wireless system that's virtually brand new that sells. I think at one point they were $500. I think now you can still get them. They're like $350, give or take. Used, they're still like $225, $250. So I got it for $100. Super lucky. The guy I bought it from was super cool. He's just like, dude, I don't use it. I'm not gonna use it. And luckily, I don't know if I may have figured it out, or maybe it just works in my house without any frequency being, any issues with frequency in my house. So for $100, got that, and it's insane, dude. Debating whether you should get a wireless system, I say get it because they're fun to have, and you don't have to worry about a goddamn cable anymore. So they're fun, dude. I remember playing L'Amour's years ago. I think we were opening up for Biohazard at L'Amour's in Brooklyn, and it was me and my other guitarist. His name was Kong. And he had an 80 wireless system, and then I got one because he had one. We're legit on, outside of L'Amour's doing our mic check, or, sound check with the engineer, Mike. And, we're looking at each other like, dude, this is so fucking dope right now. Because it was the first show that we played where we used our wireless systems. So we're outside, literally on the sidewalk. Here's the big giant, L'Amour sign, and we're, no one's outside because we're there early. And I must have been 17 at the time, 18. So we were like two little freaking kids, super excited, outside hearing what we were playing inside and looking at each other like, ha ha ha, isn't this funny? So it's still just as cool, just as funny. So yes, if you've ever considered getting a wireless system, get the G50, the lower end ones, or G50 or higher, right? There's a G50, which is this one, and the G55. I don't know what the difference is between them. But apparently the G50 is the model number where everything is metal casing. You can actually detach the cable, in case that breaks, and you can just replace it. And apparently there's actually a few cable companies that make the entire cable for the LINE6 G50 transmitter, so which are better. The cable is actually thicker, so you actually get all of your sound in and then sent over digitally. So unlike infrared, where it sends the signal and can have issues, ambient issues where your sound gets cut off. This is digital. So the way I was explained, the way an engineer, a sound engineer who is the director at a music school here, he said your sound is converted into a digital signal that then gets picked up by the transmitter and then repopulated again. So it's basically the equivalent of having your cable hooked up, sent through a digital signal that's 2.4 gigahertz, which is what old telephones used to be. So, I would imagine that who the hell has a telephone anymore? So you don't have that issue anymore. So definitely get the G50, G55. I think there's like a G70 or a G80. Anything north of that, you're going to absolutely love it. You're going to be like a little kid, just like I am, and I'm almost 50. So I still feel like the 17-year-old on the sidewalk in Brooklyn, outside of L'Amour's, playing, and it's fun. I think it's just, it's fun to have. So listen, if you haven't subscribed, smash the heck out of the subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are the absolute best. And let me just go over the details. I'm using my triple rectifier, using the Peppers Pedals Dirty Tree Boost with my 2014 Paul Reed Smith Leprechaun Tooth 10 top with my Fortin Zool set to noon because I'm not using the key, with the G50 set to 15 feet. Now I have it on channel 5, but channel 3, 4, and 5 will actually work perfectly. Put in new batteries, you're good for 8 hours. Who the hell practices for 8 hours? I know some of you guys do. This guy doesn't. I'm just going to be like, boop, use a little cable, use headphones, and I'm all set. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon.